Hi, welcome to Big Sexy Radio. This is Crystal.
This is Murph.
Hi, Murph.
Hi, Crystal.
As we like to say around here, we're just two rad fatties chewing the fat. And that's really what it is.
That's exactly it. Talking about things sexy, all things fun, whatever ensures our limbs to talk about.
That's right. Just so you know, run down real quick for new listeners, and welcome if you are new, and welcome to our community. We talk about current events. We do a listener question. We have a hot topic, Murph.
Hot topics.
And then we do a vibe of the week. And then at the end of this episode tonight, we have a few things to talk about, especially our giveaway. And we have a special guest when we're talking about the vibe of the week. So if you know Marina Hayes, she's going to be joining us in a little while. And we're so excited. So welcome, welcome, welcome. Murph, didn't you just love that show I told you had to watch?
Oh my God.
I knew you would love it. Oh, I'm in love.
Build a Sex Room on Netflix.
Yes. Melanie Rose, that's the lady that is the hostess, right?
Yes.
The Mary Poppins of sex rooms.
Yes, the Mary Poppins of sex rooms. And she's everything you want Dirty Mary Poppins to be.
She is, I agree. She is really out there too. She's like humping that one thing out in that guy's front yard.
The bench.
Yeah.
I love the construction guy that she has with her. He's perfect to like balance her out. Cracks me up every time he's like smacking her on the butt or talking about penises on the wall or just whatever it is. He's got some clever little quip to say back to her.
Yeah, they're both just slightly naughty.
Yeah.
And then she's British, so you know she can get away with anything because she has a cute accent.
Yeah.
And she's over 60.
Yeah. And she's just so like it's like what I want to be when I get older, you know. I see her walking around in the cute little outfit and she's just pulling dildos and whips and floggers out of her bag, and you're just like, what is happening right now?
I knew you were going to love that show. It's just so amazing. I aspire to have almost all of those rooms. Some of them are a little too romantic-y for me. I'm not really into I'm not into things that are too fussy, but I mean, they're all gorgeous, all of them. And what'd you think about the polycule, the poly family?
I'm on that episode right now.
Oh, okay. So you haven't heard the woman, what she has to say why she wants hardwood floors?
No. You can tell me. Fine.
Okay. She's really interested in bukkake and having all of the people in her polycule, which is 5 men and her and one other woman. She's interested in having all of them pee on her. It doesn't want to be on carpet because it'll ruin the carpet.
It'll ruin the carpet. Yeah. Oh, I can't wait to see what kind of option she comes up with to change that room.
It's amazing. All of it's amazing. She's just, when I found that, I was like, oh my gosh, I totally want to have a sex room. We try because, we don't have any kids, so we can do a few things here and there, but it's nothing really official. But we have a built-in basement. My partner had it built in about 7 or 8 years ago. So we had the house lifted up. They put in a full basement. So I call it the dungeon. It's very cool down there, it's concrete floors, but it's huge bathroom, huge shower.
Yeah.
Two bedrooms and a living room. So that's kind of like our dungeon anyway, but it's not all fancy.
And, watching the very first episode where they gloss over the concrete and you could do a lot in there.
So I binged it, and then he woke up the next day. I'm like, you got to watch this. So we watched it on fast forward and I showed him that floor. It's like, it's so beautiful.
It's gorgeous.
We've never finished the floor down there, but one day we will. We've been finishing a few things around here.
Yeah.
So expensive here. So to try to improve things and stuff gets really costly, especially when you already paid a lot for the house. So
exactly. Well, and the cost of all the supplies to make those changes is really expensive right now too.
Absolutely. Everything's expensive right now.
Yeah. I tell you though, I said to my husband, I was like, this is like my favorite show in terms of I love watching HGTV.
Yeah.
They built it like
it's very similar
TV show for sex. And I'm just like, I love this. This is so the people that they're talking to are so openly talking about sex lives. And I was so surprised. I love it. I love it. It's so much fun.
It is so much fun. And yeah, I was surprised how open they all are too. And that they're just putting everything out there on Netflix because like telling the whole wide world that you want to have golden showers that's really open-minded. She doesn't care what anybody thinks, and good for her. She shouldn't care.
Right. And that's what I love about it. It's so bold. That sheriff's guy, the guy that's he's talking about all kinds of stuff, and I'm just like, whoa, bro.
I know. I kept thinking, oh, the guys are going to give him so much hell, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. And they're interesting too because he's super tall and she's kind of on the shorter side of life.
Yeah.
So they're trying to figure out like mechanics, and they have that cross that tilts backwards.
The inversion table.
Mm-hmm. But it's also a St. Andrew's cross. So yeah, they're all in one.
Yeah.
I'm like,
that episode, I want the tantric chair that they have.
Yes.
And I want the inversion table that's the St. Andrew's cross. I was sitting there going, start looking it up, babe. Get your phone out.
I know he's on it too. I know your man loves to buy that kind of stuff for you, for the two of you. Yeah, same here. It was really fun though. It was like I needed something kind of funny and light, and it's that the world is on fucking fire. It's nice to watch something light like that. Like 2 years ago when Bridgerton came out, I was like, oh, this is the eye candy and the brain candy that I need right now. And same with this show. Yeah. It's brilliant. I thought I saw one of my friend's candles in there, but she said this show was filmed maybe like a couple of years ago. So she said it wasn't her candles, but yeah, it's so good. I wonder what the casting was like. Like, we need people who don't mind telling the whole wide world about your kinks.
Right? And that you have a free space to just come in and have someone make a complete overhaul of sex rooms. I mean, my husband says it looks like one of those high-end boutiques. Most of them.
It does. Yeah.
High-end boutiques. And I'm like, that's true. But man, it sure would be nice to have somebody just come into your house and be like, okay, what are you into? Let's make you a high-end sex boutique in your, basement or second floor or whatever it is.
Murph, how much do you think those rooms, who was paying? And those rooms are tens of thousands of dollars.
Right. I have no idea who was paying. I think, honestly, they probably were like, if you openly talk about this on TV or, on
cable, or what do you call it? Streaming?
We're going to pay,
yes.
But you've got to be the one to talk about it.
Maybe so. Yeah, that's what you get for coming on the air and talking about bukkake. Yeah. Your bukkake fantasy. I love it.
I'm so excited because they look like such a kind of goofy, nerdy couple. I was like, I wonder what their kink's going to be. And that's where we stopped today. And so I was like, oh my gosh. Now it's going to be great.
Everybody's a little bit different too, and that one couple where you have to go downstairs. So they go down to their basement, and right across the platform for the basement is their washer and dryer. But then you lift up the stair cover or whatever, and to walk down the steps. And can you imagine they had to bring all that stuff down those steps, all that furniture, and they did stuff to the walls, they get drywall, everything.
Yeah, that was wild. It's
you had to walk backwards down those stairs.
Yeah. It was like a little hidey hole. They were so steep. It was just like straight. You're going to fall. Like there's getting down there easily.
Yeah. You have to go down backwards. I can't imagine them bringing all that stuff up and down the stairs.
I know.
Taking months.
Rooms.
Yeah. It's really beautiful. Really beautiful. It was, And that it's also, they're talking about people's marital problems. So she's like a therapist.
Right. Well, and that's what I was going to say. I'd love that she is taking on the uniqueness of whatever their issue is, and not only changing the room, but also kind of encouraging them to open their mind up to something or to look at it a little differently, or maybe examine it completely by going and talking to a couples person, and getting them out of that rut.
When that one couple were trying to talk dirty to each other.
Yes.
And the husband was just like, what did he say? It was a crazy word like impale or something. I was like, no, irrigate. Did he say irrigate?
Yep.
Oh my God, my head hurts just thinking about that. Well, irrigate?
Irrigate? What? I know. But you just see totally different, lives. It's fun. Just kind of have a little peek right in to see what's happening.
It is fun to see how other people live. It's fascinating.
Yeah.
They were a cute couple though. They are all great couples, or polycules. They were all really awesome. They got the right people in a nice mix of diversity, and I was loving it. I knew you were going to love it. I can't wait to talk to you about it.
Yeah. So it is called How to Build a Sex Room. It's a Netflix original series. It just came out, I think, last week?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, so it's still fairly new and starting to gain traction. I
Oh yeah.
instantly went to go find Melanie Rose, the
Yeah.
host, on social media, and she's on Instagram if anyone wants to follow her.
Cool.
Yeah,
She's sassy.
it's great.
And she's a little horn dog.
She is. She's so cute about it too. That's
I
what I love.
know.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to tell you that we have a question today that kind of goes into the realm of sex rooms and sexual activities. Are you interested?
I want to hear it for sure.
The question is, if you perform oral sex, do you always want reciprocation?
Hmm. Hmm. Do I always want it? Probably. I mean, I always say I get out of bed in the morning for the possibility I might receive oral sex that day. But I don't always expect it because sometimes it's like a gift I'm giving, or I'm something special I'm doing for him, so not all the time. It's nice. I will say after 10 years of doing pleasure parties all over the Bay Area, men are really slacking out there compared to what I'm hearing from their wives or partner. For people who are in, like heteronormative kind of relationships, the men are slacking. The women seem like they're giving a lot more blowjobs than they're receiving. So I don't think that's very cool. I think it should feel very fair and even, but you know, I don't know. What do you think, Murph?
I'd say no, there's not always the expectation for reciprocity on that, but I would say that you should talk to your partner and ask if that's something that they want. Can I go down on you? Is that something you want me to do right now? Or
Mm-hmm.
having that having that question and then answering it back for yourself and saying, I'd like you to go down on me.
Yep.
I think it's hard for some people to say that though. I've had some people say that oral sex is more like reserved for special occasions. It's not a
Mm-hmm.
standard kind of thing. So I think part of that really just depends on what your idea is about oral sex. Is it a gift or is it just a regular part of your play?
Foreplay, yeah. Sometimes it's either one, it just depends if I want to give him a gift because he's done something really nice for me. I mean, it depends for me, but I think it's for me, I like it to feel kind of even. So I feel bad for the people that are in relationships where it's like 1,000 blowjobs to like 10, going down on her. That's
Mhm.
not cool. But you have to speak up. You got to communicate and you got to talk about these things because otherwise you get really bitter and resentment never leads to hot sex. So if you don't get it off your chest, you're just going to get more and more resentful and you get further apart. And then you just get really bitter, and sexless marriages or sexless relationships are no bueno.
Yeah. Well, and like that couple on how to build a sex room, if you're not even sure you've had an orgasm, or
Yeah,
if you're not, you've been with your partner for a really long time and you're just not receiving the pleasure that you want.
right.
Thing is, some people don't like oral sex. Some
Hmm.
people
Hmm.
are like, it's, makes me feel uncomfortable or whatever. And it's like, okay, well then are you getting pleasure some other way from your partner, in a way that feels unique or special to you? And as long as that's happening, that's fine. As long as you're feeling like you mentioned, that having that fair balance of
Hmm.
I'm giving, receiving back and forth in this relationship. But for me, it doesn't have to be oral sex.
During the shutdown, I was doing some of my blowjob classes via Zoom, and this couple, well, first he reached out to me and I said, I would love to help y'all, but I need to hear from her. I need to know that she really wants to do this, right? And so she reached out to me, and then they paid and we did it. She just was the only one on the class, although I could tell he was kind of nearby. But she was very serious. She sat down on the floor in her bedroom. She had like pens to write stuff with, and she wanted me to go really slow because this couple was probably in their 60s, and she wanted to learn how to give really good blowjobs because he or they felt like she wasn't that great. Okay. So then as we get into it, I'm like, I always like to say that if you're giving someone oral sex, whether you're giving a penis or a vagina vulva oral sex, all of it should leave you feeling powerful, empowered, beautiful, sexy, hopefully turned on. Not, I know that's not necessary for everybody, but it shouldn't feel like a job. If it feels like a job, oh, that's no fun. And he was not reciprocating whatsoever. And she was okay with that because she got herpes at some point. And he was like, no. I go, what about dental dams or, flavored condoms? You can cut them in half. And no. But I'm like, so you're learning how to get better head, and he's never going to do anything. And I go, what about fingers and stuff? Like, do you like that? Because most women like the fingering because it feels so good. There's so many nerve endings, right? Around the vaginal opening. No, he won't do that either. I'm like, okay, so do you guys have sex? Nope, no sex, no oral sex, nothing for her. I'm like, what the heck? Not
She's
okay.
been blowjob servant.
Pretty much, yeah. And he was his idea. I was like, ooh, that's not okay. But
No.
it's what she bargained with. And that's what she bargained with him for. She wants what she wanted. I'm like, okay. I'm like, blink twice if you need me to come help you, Like,
Right.
are you safe? Are you okay?
Oh, that
Yeah.
breaks my heart.
I know, me too. Yeah, it was weird, but I was, fun teaching her stuff. But then when I heard the whole story, I was like, man,
Yeah.
screw him. Don't do your best work on him. No.
Right? Take the skill and go apply it someplace else for somebody more deserving.
That's what I always tell my girlfriends that are out there dating. Don't do your best work at first, because once you give a guy a really good sloppy blowjob, they never delete your phone number. So
Yep.
save your good work, save your good stuff for once, like date 4 or 5 or 6, And they're like, really? It's true. I swear that I've had men call me from like 20 years ago, 15 years ago. And I'm like, looking at the phone, always put in like, do not answer, dickhead or whatever, And I'm like, why is he calling me? Like, damn it.
Yeah. I gave him one of those magical blowjobs. Shit.
What was I thinking? Damn it. I'm wiser now.
Right.
Yeah. Oral sex is always a tricky subject because, I found when I was doing all those parties that a lot of women say they don't enjoy it. I wonder why, like, how do you not like somebody worshiping your clitoris and your vulva and your vagina with their mouth and fingers? To me, that's like, best day on earth.
Yeah. I've always been more of a fingers, hand person, more so than mouth on vagina or my vulva, just because of pressure. I think,
Yeah.
I'm really a pressure sensitive person. And so that's always seems to be more pleasurable for me because the tongue is so light and flickery and it's fun. Don't get me wrong. I love it. But I also like there has to be kind of like a mixture of both or more hand play than anything, just because of that level of pressure and sensitivity. So I think it's one of those things where, and we'll get into that, I'm sure, is how do you have that discussion with your partner of like, this is what I really like? Because sometimes it's not just oral, sometimes it's oral and.
Yeah. And when I'm asked, I say, if you're going down on the vulva, vagina, clitoris, eat it like it's your last meal on earth. Honestly, be aggressive about it. We need a lot more pressure there than you might think. And also you need to talk to your partner. What do you like? Do you like it when I do this? Do you like it when I do that? I used to tell people when I was doing all those parties, why don't you pretend like you're porn stars and you're going to like videotape each other and you're giving each other directions. So you have all of the freedom and safe space to say, do this, do that, do this, do that. And then you can flip. And then he or she's telling you, do this, do that. And it's just a good way to kind of like get into that conversation for people who are uncomfortable with it. It's not for everybody.
No, I agree. I think that's a really fun way to have a conversation of direction, because I think part of that is the scariness of telling your partner what you really enjoy or what you really want and not coming off as like, I'm a dictator telling you what to do. And, there's so much shame around it. And you don't find that so much around just regular intercourse or anything like that. It's more of like this idea of more intimacy because it's your face at somebody's genitals, or on somebody's genitals.
A lot of people with vaginas, vulvas have shame about how they smell and taste.
Yeah.
And I'm here to tell you, if your partner's into vaginas and vulvas and clitorises, they're going to love how you smell and taste. They're attracted to that scent and flavor. So, but I know we just catch so much shame about how our vaginas smell, from little boys making jokes to grown men making jokes, the fishy jokes and stuff. I don't know about you. Well, I know about you, actually. I know you have a hygiene thing. So do I, because I'm fat. So I'm like overachiever when it comes to hygiene, because I never want anybody to think I'm smelly. And I've never, unless I have like a period or something, there's no fishy odor ever. I hate that stuff. It's not funny.
No, It's, somebody who had some sort of bacterial vaginosis, some kind of issue with
Yep.
yeast, and it creates that smell. And that's a warning of, hey, something's wrong and we need to get you in to see somebody so that you start, taking care
Yeah.
of that. But it only takes one, and then it's a ha ha ha.
It's not funny.
Yeah. No. Well,
It's
it's just
shaming.
jokes. Yeah. That's exactly it.
I mean, your vagina, and I'm sure this goes for people with penises too. You just have a scent, right? It's kind of like always sort of the same unless you have your cycle or you have sex and someone finishes inside of you. Then you might have like one bad day, and then you go back because, it's a self cleaning oven. It does all the stuff. It just takes care of everything. You don't have to worry about it. No douching. It's not good for you. And I know everybody wants to douche, and then all of a sudden your vagina has to go to like double time to try to get the flora and the fauna all back to the good stuff. And douching is not good. But it's it's just such an elementary school joke, like when I
Yeah.
hear a grown man, I'm like, dude, could you just Google this shit? They don't smell like fish, but yeah, just so much shame. I wonder if that's why a lot of people with vaginas they turn down oral sex. And I think usually the person who's attracted to you, they often really want to go there with their mouth.
Absolutely. Or have some kind of pleasure, whether it be, with their hands, with their mouth, whatever it is.
Both, yeah.
I mean, how many guys have the whole like smell your fingers after and love that, that kind of thing. So it's like, don't tell me that it's fishy and you're gross and, all that kind of stuff. If you're talking about smelling fingers as a, there's just fun.
Oh yeah. So having their buddies smell it, you're like, oh my God.
Seriously.
That's not okay. What's wrong with you? Oh yeah. It's a complicated subject. It's really complicated. And I know a lot of women sadly also probably have some issues with possibly, sexual assault or things like that.
Right.
Sad.
Yeah, and that's why it's really important to have that discussion with your partner, because it may be something that they're not ready to talk about, why they don't want to have oral sex, or it may be something where there's shame tied around it or some issue tied around it. And it just takes some exploring and talking about. So yeah, it's a very intimate process. And it's one of the where you have to be vulnerable and have those conversations, because if you don't, you're missing out on some really great fun.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. And it's I don't know about you, but I don't just go down on anybody, So for me, it's like a sign of trust and love. I'm probably not going to do that for someone I'm, having a one night stand with or whatever. It's not my thing, But if I'm into you and you're my partner, I'm into it, But other than that, and I don't really want anybody that I don't really know to go down on me unless I'm really close with them, because it takes a lot of trust, and it's kind of a lot for us because, our genitalia is not sticking straight out, right? So someone has to like go in there and find it, and it's a little more.
Exactly.
I got folds, man.
Right? You have to need some effort in there. Your heart cave.
Yeah. Right? Yeah. Yeah. And then some women have like a teeny tiny clitoris, that'll be like smaller, that's showing, that's on the outside of their body. It'll be like smaller than your pinky nail.
Yep.
Other women have like, a thumb sized clitoris, and the ones that are small seem like they're embarrassed by how small it is. And the ones that have the gigantic ones are embarrassed by how big they are. There's no, there's no winning. I'm like, oh, it's your no, it's there. And that's kind of why I like those suction toys. And we're going to talk about those with Marina Hayes soon when she comes on to talk with us when we talk about the sex vibe of the week. But I like the suction toys because the people with clitorises, the ones that have the really small clitoris, you could get that suction thing on those little tiny clitorises and just start sucking on it, and it just pulls it out a little bit and just makes it easier to find for them and for someone else.
Yep. I tell you, blood engorging to those areas is a damn good thing.
Absolutely. Doesn't happen without the blood engorging. It just, you have to have all that stuff going on, and it's so good. And I know a lot of people have a hard time orgasming from receiving oral. Some people do, men and women.
Yep. Yeah, and I think a lot of that too is kind of what people have it constructed in their mind of like, it's a foreplay activity. This isn't a end of, the end of sex. It's just the start of that. So you don't come when you have oral. I've heard lots of different reasons as to why people have those parameters, set up, or
Mhm.
that's about whatever it is, rules for oral sex. But hey, everyone has their own thing. And I'm like, okay, if that's what makes you happy, go for it.
Sure, sure. Yeah, there's that whole thing about bodily fluids too, right? So,
Mhm.
are you bodily fluid bonded with the person? Because then they might not be. If you're not, they might not be comfortable receiving whatever you have to give. And then I mean, I did hundreds of blowjob classes, usually for like 40 to 50 people at a time, and we would spend so much time on talking about what to do with the ejaculate, and the things that people tell me they do. They get up and they run to the bathroom, they spit it out, and then they come back to the bed. I'm like, good Lord. Or they keep a thing next to the bed, they spit it out in there. And I'm just like, wow, these people have all these things worked out. They just don't want to have anything to do with it, and it
Yeah.
would be a long discussion because people have such different ideas and they have all these things they've made up or someone's made up, like old wives' tales about ejaculate. I'm like,
And they fully, it's, they believe it
I
and
know,
get
I know.
their mind about it.
Yeah.
Well, being that that is our hot topic, oral sex, I
Yeah.
think that you should tell us a little bit more about your blowjob classes.
Yeah. I haven't really done any in a while, but I wrote a little ebook about how to give $1 million blowjob, basically. And I interviewed a bunch of men when I wrote it. Because I wanted to ask them, like, what were things that we do, for people who are in like a cis het relationship that bother them, that doesn't turn them on, that gets them kind of like turned off or whatever. And then like, what do you really love, And it was always things like they would be uncomfortable if their partner looked uncomfortable. So like if you're sitting weird, or like this one person told me, like if you're sitting over my penis and you're like, you don't look comfortable and you're sitting in this awkward squat, like I don't feel like I can really relax. I want you to feel comfortable too. I was like, okay, thank you. And then, yeah, a lot of my class talked about making out with the penis, like you're making out with their mouth. And I mostly like women giving blowjobs to men. It was mostly the clients that I had. Oh, hey,
Hi.
Marina. Hi there, welcome.
Thank you.
And then we're just talking about my blowjob classes that I used to give. I do sometimes via Zoom, but not so often anymore. But people wanted to know a lot about deep throating. That was always a long, long topic. How can I deep throat? And that we would go through all these kinds of, different things. And it was so fun because usually I could see all my clients that were there learning how to do all this stuff. And I would give them all like a 6-inch colorful dildo, and it had balls and a suction cup. And so they'd all put it on the desk and they'd stand up. And then I'd say, okay, see how far you can go down on the penis without warming up or anything. And they would like go down like, halfway down. And then I'd say, okay, try this thing where you squeeze your left thumb with your left hand and now go down on it. And they would go all the way down to the balls. And they're like, oh, you're magic. I was just like an acupressure technique. I guess when you focus on that, it relaxes your throat. But there's a bunch of ways, but everybody wanted to know that. I'm like, look, nobody has to deep throat. Just men watch way too much porn. So we are just regular humans. We're not like Olympic athletes of sex. Well, I mean, not all of us. And I am in my head. So we're just regular people. We're not like deep throating big dicks all night and all day like porn stars do. That's their job. They're getting paid to do that. So sometimes men get they watch too much of that kind of porn, and not everybody can do it. Not everybody wants to do it. Not everybody should have to feel like they have to do it.
Right.
So,
Well, and I think one of those things too is back in the 2000s, kiddos that are listening now
mhm.
that are going to need some context. There was a very famous porn star named Jenna Jameson, and she would talk about magic spit.
Mhm.
And that is once you have a little bit of that gag reflex, you get this very,
Viscous.
yeah, oh, good word. Yeah. So it's just it's magic spit, and that's what guys like go crazy for, is that feeling of, it's almost like silicone lube mixed with water-based lube. Like it's fun, it's good, but
It's very thick. It's different kind of saliva in your mouth. It's when you get to the back of the throat, it starts producing something that's much thicker than regular saliva, and it works so well for all kinds of things. Whatever
Mhm.
you're doing, it just works really great for that. So that's a good way to put it, magic spit.
Yep. And so, and that's part of that, hearing you gag, hearing you, you know, and that goes all back to porn and all that. But there are some little tips and tricks from that where you get into, oh, hey, we do find magic spit and that works out quite well.
Yeah.
Or, hey, I did learn how to do my gag reflex or whatever it may be.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. A lot of fun. Marina, you know about thick spit?
I do. I know all about that. My deep throat trick was like always be a little stoned because it gives you the munchies. And I'll that spit will come even faster.
Salivate, yeah.
I personally like the gag part of it. I kind of do it a little for show sometimes. Depends on the person, if they're worthy or not of the show. But yeah.
If it's too small, it's hard to gag over it.
That's true. I've never had that problem.
Oh, good.
I think it takes a certain kind of ambitious man to approach someone like me, So
yeah,
never had an issue with that.
Marina, meet Murph. Murph, meet Marina.
So nice to meet you, Murph. Thanks so much for having me today.
She's heard a lot about you.
A lot of people have. Way too much about me.
Yeah, so welcome. I'm glad you could join us tonight.
But yeah, I was also known as like the blowjob queen. And it's so funny you said blowjob classes right off the bat. And I was like, I have had thousands of people ask me to do blowjob classes over my life. I had exes call me and ask me to teach their wives and, all that kind of stuff. I have one guy who told me he couldn't come anymore without thinking about me at the last possible second.
Aww.
And that helped him conceive his son, who's now 12. So good for him. Yeah, it's fun. You have to enjoy doing it like any other part of sex,
Yeah.
It's a labor of love.
Yeah, I hate for it to feel like a job for people, but I know it does to some people.
Yeah.
But like I said in the beginning, hopefully it makes you feel empowered and powerful and beautiful and just like you have something small and then you turn it into something really big and hard.
Yeah.
It's like yeah. You have all the power and all of the magic.
Absolutely.
Well, and we were talking about sex furniture last show, and that's something to think about in terms of an aid to help you with oral sex. There's stuff that you can use, like the jazz motion that we're going to give away.
Yeah.
Putting that under somebody's hips so that you have better access.
Pushes up.
Especially if you're going down on someone with a vulva, because then it very much presents it closer to your face, gives you a little bit of an angle so that you're not having to tweak your neck as much while you're performing.
Also, analingus is, people, everyone loves that. Well, not everyone loves it, of course, but
it's becoming more and more popular.
It is. Although I feel like it's died down a little bit. Ass eating had like a big heyday in 2019, and it's a little bit died down since then. There's some of us still storming through it. My partner is not receptive to it. Will not, won't budge on it. So I've respectfully retired from it.
You have to respect that. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
But I love
gotta respect
days.
it. Yeah. It had its day. It definitely was. Yeah, like with Brussels sprouts. Brussels sprouts had its year. So did analingus.
There you go.
Yeah.
The classics always come back around, though.
Yeah, they do. True that.
I was saying you probably don't want to put those two together, Brussels sprouts and
no.
I'm not that adventurous.
No, me neither.
That's a very
used to be
chat.
Exactly.
There used to be a sex worker here in San Jose. She's awesome, but she did the cake farts, and she would have a brand new cake. And she's like mature, or more mature now, maybe like past 75. I think she just retired. But people would pay her, and she'd go get a brand new cake, and she'd sit in it and fart in it. Either the person would be there in person or on Zoom or whatever, Skype. And she's infamous. Like everybody knows her. Like no matter what kind of thing you're into, everybody knows about the cake fart lady.
Wow. That's
fantastic.
the local legend right there.
I know. Like, what a way to get paid.
It's like the orange sauce at, what is it, Aardvark or something? There's some taco place in San Jose that has famous orange sauce. And then you guys have the cake fart lady.
Victoria. I'm in the cake fart, yes. Also, sugar in the vagina, bad.
Not great.
Oh, yeah.
Ugh, not good, no.
I one
as
time,
much fun as it sounds like having someone eat a cake off of me, I already know it's not going to be good.
Yeah.
I did honey one time when I wasn't feeling very fresh and I was on vacation. There's a little bit of honey that came with our room service tray for breakfast. So I just dipped my pinky in it just a little bit and just did a little boop, just to kind of sweeten things up a little bit. It wasn't gritty like sugar would be, and I didn't have any long-term effects from it, but it did give an artificial flavor that my partner at the time was like, did you put something sweet in here? And that's always embarrassing. Like trying too hard, putting too much thought into it,
No, I stay sweet.
Yes. Yeah.
Vacation sex, the best.
It is the best.
I love
That's
it.
one good thing about being in a long distance relationship is that oftentimes the sex that we do have ends up feeling like vacation sex until you hit
appointment sex.
Yes, exactly.
Appointment sex and vacation sex. Yeah. Let me introduce Marina to everybody, since you're just here and not everybody knows who you are. Well, not yet. I know it's coming. A lot of people know who you are. We have like 250 friends in common or something like that. But so Marina created a company called Peridot Robes. It's Peridot, right? Not Peridot.
I say Peridot Robes. It can be either way. Whatever you want.
You do? Okay.
I'm wearing one right now.
Yes, beautiful. Marina makes robes for larger bodies, and like a robe that actually has a sash that will tie all the way around you, and the whole robe will close if you get one in your size. And it's flippin' amazing. I have two, and I have a dress too. And I love my denim robe so much. It's really light. It's not heavy. I love to put on after the shower, and I like to be stick dry before I put my clothes on. And I just walk around in that robe, and it's so heavenly. And it has the comfortable sleeves. The whole thing fits me, and I'm like a size 28-30 on the bottom. I'm like, I don't know what the boobs are, but they're like double D's, and probably like a 50 around my chest. And it fits me on the top and the bottom. And the black one has the sleeves that stay tight, so it doesn't catch on fire while you're cooking. Brilliant.
Yes.
Anyway, Marina makes robes from size 14
to 40.
40. Yes. And if someone really needs something higher than a 40,
absolutely,
you can accommodate.
Yes, I have my own sewing room now, so we can do more custom work, which I'm really excited about.
Very cool.
And I'm also a former sex worker, and I did that for many years to pay the bills. I was a Craigslist girl, and did that internationally as well. I worked in Italy for a long time, and
fun.
I love sex. I'm very prolifically pansexual and poly.
Yeah.
And, it's something that I've always gotten a lot of gratification with on a lot of levels. I think when I first started off, it was like very emotional. I just wanted to be good at something. And now it's, I'm very intimate with my partner. My partner is very much of a love maker,
Nice to have a little bit of both.
Yeah, he can fuck when it comes down to it too. But both of us are kind of in the love, in the love portion.
I was saying at the very beginning that girls, ladies, even men, whoever's giving out blowjobs, don't do your best work on the first couple dates, because once you do really good work on the first couple dates, if you stop seeing each other, they never delete your phone number. And then you'll get like calls and text messages like 15 years later. Like, holy crap, I still have them in my phone. So I'm like, don't answer. Come on, dude, it's been 15 years. So just save your good work for later.
There's so much advice here that I should have gotten a long time ago. I have so many people with the last name do not answer in my phone.
I know.
David, do not answer.
Anyway.
Stephen, do not answer.
Totally. So we invited you tonight to talk about our vibe of the week, as we call it. And yes,
brought it.
I did.
Thank you. She went and bought it today, Murph.
I did. I'm bi-coastal. My partner lives in New York. I live in Los Angeles. And I left mine in New York. I just got back from New York early last week. And I was like, oh, where is it? Oh, it's not in my bedside stand. Crap. So I have a nice little sex toy shop that's like 3 blocks from my house. Just ran over there like 10 minutes before they closed, and supported a small local business.
Yeah. And the small independent sex toy businesses need our help right
really
now.
Do.
The pandemic was really hard on them. The ones that are like Adam and Eve and stuff, they're doing okay, but the ones that are indie, they're struggling. It sucks
Yeah.
because that's where you could get some amazing sex education, right? Is the sex toy stores.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. The employees at sex shops like that, very well informed. The sales reps know that informing the employees properly means more sales for them. And they're
Yeah.
people who are passionate about it. You certainly don't work there because it pays well, you know.
No.
They're there
Mm-mm.
because it's fun. It's a fun job and that kind of stuff. I used to work at a cheese shop and it was pretty much the same thing, you know.
I'm passionate about cheese.
Very
so.
passionate about cheese. Big
Sex
sexy
toys and
cheese
cheese.
chat next.
Exactly. So, and then you also mentioned that you have a Lilo that kind of gives suction too that you like.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Let's talk about both.
So you won't see because this is a podcast, but there's bite marks in this.
We're videotaping it too.
Okay, good.
Bite marks.
My dog
Yeah.
loves to get a hold of my little sucky things. They just smell so
The pheromones.
interesting, and Mom seems to be having so
Mhm.
much fun with it. So she loves to go. She'll open a drawer and grab it and run off. And
It's the pheromones. It's just
she
pheromones are all
particularly
over
loves
those
this one
things.
because what does that look like? It's a dog toy, you know.
Oh yeah. Mhm.
So, anyways, yes, they're similar but different. The Lilo and the Rose. And first of all, I want to say I have like a small side of average sized clit. And so I don't have a size issue when it comes to the opening of these. Now, these are both sucky
Mhm.
toys. I call them sucky vibey toys.
Yeah.
But I
yeah.
will say that the Lilo has more of the suction action and the Rose has more of a sucky vibey action.
Marina, do you know the name of the Lilo toy?
No.
I want to make sure I put it on my website. I'll look it up. That's okay.
That's a good idea. I bought
I'll
it
look
from
it
a
up.
shag in Brooklyn from
Mhm.
Dirty Lola, who works
Mhm.
there. And I just kind of ran in and was like, do you guys have a rose? Because Lila, my dog, had just eaten one of my rose toys. It was the middle of the
Damn
pandemic.
it, Lila.
And I was like, do you guys have a rose? And they're like, no, we don't carry those. But we had the Lilo, which is, 3 times as expensive. And it's
I was gonna
different,
say,
you know?
Yeah. Mhm.
So I got that and I'm happy with it. It is a really well made toy. It has a lot more. The Lilo has 3 little buttons on it, which have a little texture
Mhm.
to them so you can find them without looking at it. Once you know it, you could do it with your eyes closed. You press the middle one to get it started. You press the back one from where I hold it to make it go stronger. And then the minus side. And then if you press the middle again, it has different percussive shows, it has little, like da-da-da, 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 and
Yeah,
it has
yeah.
ones where it builds up and then it pauses and then it goes in and it just
I like the toys that have that speed of sex where it's like
oh yeah,
that
I like
speed.
that speed.
Real quick, Marina. Murph, tell me which sexy toy do you have? You have the Satisfier?
Yes, I have the Satisfier. It has that. Wait, I think I have this. Yeah, I have the Satisfier. It's not the Womanizer.
I have the Womanizer and the Satisfier.
I don't
That's
like
right.
the name Womanizer.
Yeah,
It's stupid. It's German. They didn't realize how it
Ah.
translates in English.
Interesting.
But yeah, it's bad. It's terrible.
You would know that.
It's so stupid. Anyway, go ahead.
I looked up the name of the Lilo and
thank you.
The Sila, Sila.
Okay,
Okay, I just want to make sure I have it on my website. Yeah, I love all Lilo products. They're very pricey, but they have a warranty, 10-year warranty,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. And if you've ever had a sex toy blow up on you, you'd know to buy quality. Buy name brands.
You would.
I had an off-brand portable magic wand one time that caught a hotel room bed on fire. Yeah, and
Lovely.
singed off a bunch of my pubes while it was at it. So yeah, we they're worth the investment. You're worth the investment.
Self-care.
So you don't sear your clit off.
Oh shit, no. I know. I always want to get a hood piercing, but I'm like, fucking love my clitoris. I don't want to mess anything up. Not gonna do it. I was like, no, I love my clitoris. I can't mess
exactly.
it up. They look so pretty though.
They do look pretty. I'm in a constant state of arousal anyways. And so the idea of having something down there rubbing me all day is just like I'm already like mostly out of my mind, sex crazed all the time, anyways. So
Love
if
it.
doing something that's going to do that more, I just don't have the time right now
Yeah,
in my life. Maybe someday, maybe
I
when I
know.
retire, I'll get that headspace thing I always thought
She's running a small business. You know, there's so much to do when you have a small business. It's not easy. People want shit from you all the time. And when you have a small business, people can reach you through Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, email, TikTok, like
Oh my
LinkedIn. And you're
gosh,
like, people want answers and they want answers from
it
you. And yeah, I
never
know
stops.
she's busy running her robe company. She can't
I
masturbate all day long.
can't. Okay, although I do, if I ever say I'm doing a self care day, I'm taking a high dose edible, I'm
Mm-hmm.
closing the door, and I'm buzzing myself
Mm-hmm.
into oblivion all day, all day. I mean,
Perfect.
I don't do it every
Perfect.
day, but on a day like that, I like to knock out like 12 to 15 orgasms and then just take a totally
Yeah.
stone nap,
Oh,
It's a good
yes, the
day.
best
Bubble
kind.
baths are for suckers.
Yes.
Like,
Satiated and stoned. Yeah, bubble
yeah.
bath. Mhm.
But
Go ahead.
I,
Go-
I was just going to ask if do you have any problems with like reaching with those toys? Because they're very small from what you've
Mhm.
shown
yeah,
me. They look like they're probably the size of your palm. Any problems with that?
not for me, but I don't carry a lot of my weight in the front the way that some people do. I think if I had more of an apron
Mhm.
belly, it might be. I mean, I do have an apron belly, but I don't have that much of one. I like, as I like to
Mhm.
Right.
say, yet. It's always
Yeah.
coming down the road. I know that. So, but I don't right now. Right now, I kind of like stick it there, and then I just kind of use my thighs to navigate it while I,
Yeah.
use my hands on my nipples or hold my phone if I'm watching porn or, anything like that. So I found that that works really well. I can kind of like, there's enough like juiciness and movement down there that I can kind of angle it however I want. They're pretty easy to use.
Yeah.
They're sex toys. They're never that hard to figure out. Strap-ons are hard to figure out.
Yes, right.
Sex toys, not so much.
But because I have a larger lower belly, and so for me, I would probably just have to grab it and just like get it suction on there and then lay down because, of course, my thighs
Yeah.
touch. So my thighs can do all kinds of
Yeah.
stuff, with those toys. But my satisfier has a shorter handle. My womanizer has the big long handle, but they don't make that one
Mm.
anymore. They called it their plus size womanizer, and I was in love, but they stopped making it.
We need to petition them to bring it back.
I know, right?
If you
In
bring them
German.
clients, they'll do it.
Yeah,
Right?
Say we have
yeah.
a petition of 30,000 fat vulva havers who really, really want to bring that shit back. They'll do it.
Yeah, maybe,
It's true.
yeah.
Now, do you find more pleasure when your partner uses it with you or when you use it by yourself?
A little bit of both. We have not really delved into sex toys that much. My partner is absolutely miraculous with his mouth. He's an asshole. Oftentimes, he's not like the greatest person to hang out with. He's very stubborn and he's very argumentative. He's half Italian, and it's the verbal half, And
Yeah.
so he's a hell of a pussy eater. He's a pussy monster. He is. And that's coming from the blowjob queen. I met my match,
Right.
And it's
You
hard
did,
to
yeah.
quit that shit. But
Yeah. It's like you're digmatized, but you're
I am
tongue-matized.
traumatized. He made me come 57 times in one day.
Holy shit.
Yeah, and I wasn't sore
Wow.
afterwards.
He knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
If I cloned myself and went down on myself as my clone, I could not do better than him. Yes.
Wow. I will say the satisfier and the womanizer do fit between you and your partner a
Yes.
little easier because it's just like you can just it doesn't get in the
So
way
we've
of
just
the
recently started bringing this in, like in the last couple of months, we've started bringing in toys, mostly because I'll start myself off with it when he's like not totally in the mood, because we're like almost 4 years into things, we're not in the honeymoon phase
Yeah.
anymore. So I'm like 20 years younger than he is, so my sex drive is like, well, we should be having it every day, if not 5 times a day, right?
Yes.
And he's like,
Right.
I love you, sweetie. How about once a week, if that? And I'm like, I'll die, And so my strategy now is to start myself off, and then he starts hearing the wet noises and with his back turned to me in the bed. Wow, this is getting really into it. This is real sex, people. This is how it really is. We can barely stand each other.
It is. It's real life.
Keeping it together for the dog.
Right.
You know? And so he'll hear the wet noises and then he can't resist. You know, he can't. I'm a pain in the ass too, just to be clear.
The macaroni noises.
The macaroni noises. That's right. And the warm smell of colitas rising up through the air. You know,
Marina, have you seen that one meme? It's like from the point of view of a lesbian, and they're like, "You straight girls, or you girls that deal with men, you must be so like, why? What is it about it? Like, you are so committed." I was like,
if there was a choice, you wouldn't be doing that. And I'm pansexual. I mean, I've been with all kinds of partners, but I've never met anyone as good as him in bed. It's painful to say that. In fact, I tried to break up with him one time, and he said to me, "You know, every person you fuck for the rest of your life, no matter how good it is, you're going to have a little moment afterwards where you think to yourself, well, that wasn't Chris." Are you ready for that?
Yeah. He gets high marks from everybody, huh?
Very manipulative. So yeah, he's right about that. It's hard to walk away from the best sex of your life.
Yeah, definitely.
But these things do make it. I think it's possible. If I had like 4 more of these and I kept them charged up all the time.
Well, I mean, everybody wants suction and vibration on their clitoris, don't they? I mean, like, to me, that's the ultimate. And then if you have the penis working with it all too.
Oh my gosh. It's weird because I don't like sex toys that penetrate that much. I used to have.
I don't use that many either like that.
It was called like Laura's Dog or something on Amazon. It went super viral for being, you know, it was like you would like see the face of God if you used it. And it had.
Right. I saw that one too. I forget what it's called.
Would kind of thump on your G-spot while also sucking on your clit. And it's all held together with a little bit of tension. You know, so it really pushes up into your G-spot the same way someone who knows what they're doing would do. And that thing used to make me go cross-eyed. I mean, I would have spasms. It got to the point where I don't really use it anymore because it's such a hard orgasm for me. I can't do anything else for the rest of the day. I can't speak straight. I just sit on the couch and watch SpongeBob, you know.
You're discombobulated. The reviews on Amazon are
they're hilarious.
Like pure gold. I need to remember the name. I do sell that toy. I think it's called Lisa's dog. I don't know why it's called dog.
It's
I'm
so
like,
disturbing.
That's so disturbing.
Why?
But I know I'll find the name of it so I can put it in the show notes. But yeah, we have to get you onto the Amazon link, Murph, because it's comedy gold in the comments.
I've never even heard of this.
Oh, it's crazy. We're talking like tens of thousands of reviews, and they're all like what it did to them. Like, you know, I sold my house, I sold my car, I moved, like this crazy shit. Because people are like, oh.
I'm getting evicted because of repeated noise complaints and stuff like that.
That's awesome. It went viral a couple of years ago.
Yeah. And it's worth it. I mean, it really was. I mean, it was just something about the inside and the outside and the pressure that it put on you internally.
Yeah.
Whew. Yeah, it was good. It was good, but like clear your schedule, you know.
Yeah, right. I think it's very fun, Murph, with my partner. Like if he uses it on me, I like that. It's really because it's kind of a surprise because then I don't really know, you know. I have this one bullet that has like 3 different pulsations, and sometimes when I'm going down on him, I'll give him the controller, and then he can control with his, you know, or my favorite. Or just and that's kind of fun, and that's like the womanizer. When he uses that on me, he can control how it vibrates and stuff. So it's like, you know, and it gets you so close, and then you can't because he changes it, and then he figures out, okay, this is what she needs, and then I'm done. You know, because there's nothing like giving a woman a little orgasm or a big orgasm and then having sex with her.
Yes,
it is on.
Yeah,
it's like Donkey Kong.
Oh my gosh.
That's all we need. Just give me one little baby one.
It's the vaginal magic spit.
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
It's
Very
just
true.
things get so engorged down there, and for people, especially people with
Yeah.
larger members, that is such a and I'm someone, I love giving oral sex to a vulva haver,
Me
and
too.
when everything gets all swollen and engorged like that and hot and steamy down
Mhm.
there, I mean, anyone can lick a clit, but it's only when you get into the third
Yeah.
or fourth time around that it's just, and it makes me
Mhm.
like, why was I born without a cock? Why? You know, I just want to die. You know, there's this great movie called Talk to Her. It's an Almodovar film, Pedro Almodovar. And there's a mini movie within the movie. It's about bullfighters and women in comas and all this kind of stuff. But there's a mini movie where this guy, it's called like the Tiny Lover, and he takes a potion, he shrinks himself, and he dives and he realizes it's incurable. He's not ever going to come back to his original size. So he kills himself by diving into his woman's pussy and just giving her one last final orgasm with his whole body in there, like pounding on the walls. And they shoot this with like a
Oh.
giant foam vagina that he goes into, and it's like slick all over him, and he's just like, this is it, this is the big time, you know. And he dives into it. It's great.
Oh,
It's worth
man.
seeing the whole movie just for that.
I'm gonna put it in the show notes. I've never heard of it, but thank you for that. That's amazing.
It's a very strange movie. I will give content warning. There is a scene it's not shown, but there's implied non-consensual sex
Implied.
in there in that movie. That's not the
Yeah.
non-consensual
Yeah.
sex, but it is in that movie. Mhm.
Thank you for that. That's so awesome. Marina, tell everybody a little bit more about your company and how, I know people sometimes go, why is it so expensive? Because it's not fast fashion,
Yes.
people. It's not Target, okay? They're made for us, 14 to 40. They're beautiful. They're going to last you probably your
Let's hope so.
lifetime. And I honestly have never had a robe. The only time I had a robe that fit me is I bought one. It was in the dorms. You kind of have to have a robe, and I bought like a men's robe, and it fit all awkward and stuff. It was like all on the sash. It sucked. So I got one at 52.
You know, it's amazing to me that people really expect me to use, like, you know, indentured servants and slave labor to make my stuff so that they can pay a little bit less. Like, you know, if you're going to treat yourself to one
Fuck that.
super luxury item, you know, like I would never wear a couture gown. I have no use for a trench coat. I have no use for thigh-high leather boots. It's not going to happen. I'm very arthritic.
Right.
And, you know, so if I was going to spend real money on one thing, it would be a bathrobe, because I would get so much use out of that. And I want it to be super well made. I want it to last forever, and I want it to fit me perfectly. And, you know, my clients have several of our robes now. I'm telling you, every single person I believe is a robe person. They just haven't met the right robe yet. You know, it is such an amazing, and it's weird. I really am kind of an expert on it now. Like, I really know how to make a good robe, and I love doing it. And yeah.
I want you to tell people how you find your material.
Oh, we use fabric remnants. We purchase them from this wonderful little shop in downtown. It's not little, it's a giant warehouse in downtown LA called Rag Finders. They've been there, I think, since like the 60s. It was started by this old hippie dude who was about sustainability before sustainability was even a word. And, you know, so basically they take fabrics that are left over from other productions, or things that were not used within a production, or things that were purchased ahead of time, and, you know, whatever. It costs a lot of money, takes a lot of care to store a fabric long term. So it benefits them to sell it to a remnants dealer who's just going to take it off their hands, so they don't have to pay to store it and keep it climate controlled and keep it pest free and all that kind of stuff. It loses its value very quickly if it's not treated properly. So this keeps it out of a landfill, you know, and I do pretty small quantities because, you know, in any given launch, I'll only have, you know, like 150 to 200 robes that I'm selling. So I only buy a couple hundred yards at a time. I don't need to have 20,000 yards of anything, which means I also get more interesting things. Like, you know, I'm wearing a green velvet right now. And in the whole shop, there was only like 14 yards of this green velvet. So I didn't even release it. I made 3 robes, one for me and one for two for friends of mine, and they never even saw the light of day
Yeah.
in Peridot. And so it's nice to be able to use things up and give them a second life and turn them into something that's going to be very loved by whoever receives them. So
And who's sewing them?
we are sewn locally. We were sewn by a sewing room that was owned by Jen Wilder, who's the co-owner of the Plus Bus.
Uh-huh.
We've recently moved on from Jen
Yeah.
Wilder, and I'm now being sewn with the same sewing room that does Chantique LA. Chantique LA is a gender neutral and size inclusive lingerie brand handmade here in Los Angeles. So we're
Oh.
kind of partnering with each other for the sewing room, and kind of they have full-time employees, and then I'm coming in and kind of grabbing them part-time, and you know, that's the most dependable way to get, you know, ethical workers, is just know the people who hired them and be there every day, you know. So
Well, yeah, they're not in a
no.
sweatshop in, I don't know,
Or
China
downtown
somewhere.
LA. We have
They're
sweatshops here
humans.
as well.
Yeah, or yes,
Yeah.
of course, yeah. They're getting paid a livable
Yes.
wage, right?
In
And
air conditioning.
I mean, I just don't. They have actual air conditioning in Los Angeles, which is a very
Yeah.
expensive place to live, and California, and it's just, I think it's worth every
I
penny,
do too.
because there's not a lot of stuff that's out there that's not fast fashion. I only know, the other person I know that is non-fast fashion is Smart Glamour, right?
Yeah,
She
well, there's
makes a lot
Copper
of things,
Union and a
right?
lot
Yeah,
of brands that are now doing it, popping up. My friend Amy is
catching
starting
on.
a line called Joy Toast, which I can't wait. This really super fun, bright print going up to, I think,
Cute,
like an 8X. And, you know,
cool.
I'll tell you this, I trust fat clothing made by fat people.
Yes,
It's such
thank
a
you.
difference. I just don't think someone who's not fat can get it the same way someone who is, because we know by wearing this stuff every
Yeah,
day for decades of our life what's wrong with every single thing we've ever owned, you know. And I just don't want to wear
Yep.
t-shirts anymore. You know, I just don't want to wear a big t-shirt to bed. I don't want to have to wear, you know, whatever. There's no such thing as an oversized t-shirt when you're a 4 or 5X. You know, so yeah,
just
so I'm
fits.
having a lot of fun. I'm connecting with so many amazing people. I've really found community through this, and it feels great. It's such a gratifying job. I think I like it even more than being a sex worker. I miss being a sex worker every day, but I think Peridot makes me even happier.
Yeah, it must be very fulfilling. I know I get a lot of nice comments from people. Thank you so much, and also through the podcast. We really need
Yeah,
this. Thank you. It feels really good to know that you're helping other fat people out there.
absolutely.
Absolutely.
I don't listen to a lot of podcasts because I always want to join in the conversation, and it's really difficult for me not to talk. So this is perfect.
Good. Yeah. We're excited to have you. So tell everybody how they can find you
We
online.
are peridotrobes.com, PERIDOTROBES.com. We're on Instagram at peridot_robes. We're on Facebook, you know, Peridot Robes. It's not a super common name, so if you look up Peridot Robes, you'll find us. We're right there. And launches every few months. We have the deep summer collection coming out. It's going to have the Ho robe, which is a very short, slutty robe with a big slit up the side,
Sweet.
and it is very sexy. It's going to be coming in like this super amazing Versa print, which is named after Saucy West icon and
Yes.
sexy person. And also,
Yes.
we're gonna have some velvet Ho robes and some tie-dye ones, you know, a little bit of something for everyone. And I'm just so excited about it.
To go with your tramp bag.
That's right.
I think we're going to talk about tramp bag one day, aren't we? We have that on the list of things to talk about. What
I
needs to
believe
go
so.
into a really good
That
tramp
is
bag?
such an important thing. Snacks.
Yeah.
Because I can't depend
Yeah,
on
snacks.
anyone who I'm fucking to have proper snacks at their place. And I don't like door dashing at 2 o'clock in the morning, you know? I've gone to bed hungry way too
Right.
many times because I work up an appetite.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Hello. I'm working hard back here. Awesome. Thank you so much, Marina. We're just going to go through a couple things. We're going to talk about the giveaway, a special announcement that we have, which we're really excited about. So, Murph, do you want to talk about the giveaway and how people can become a part of that? What we're giving away?
we are giving away a Jazz Motion Liberator pillow. And we talked about it in our sex furniture episode, which was the last episode we posted.
Yep.
And it is a very sturdy yet compact pillow that you can use literally just throughout your daily life. But
Yes.
when you're having sex, it will help elevate and spread. Yeah, it gives you some sturdy ground, actually have some sexy time with maybe some oral sex, or if you wanted to get a little bit deeper with vaginal yeah, or if you were having anal and you wanted to flip over and put it under like your hips, belly, apron kind of area. So this is from Liberator. They are one of our favorite brands because they are super high quality products. You don't have to have a plus size version with their stuff, but they do sell plus size types of furniture. This is a very easy way to have a little bit of fun, but also maybe just have a little back pillow that you can put behind your neck if you're having a rough day. And we are giving that away through our newsletter. So if you sign up at www.bigsexychat.com, a little screen will pop up and ask you if you want to join our newsletter. And then if you miss that screen for whatever reason, you can choose the newsletter on our webpage, enter your email address, and that will automatically put you in to win. Now, there are some extra ways that you can get an entry if you comment and share on Facebook and Instagram.
Just comment on Facebook or Instagram. You can get 2 more entries into the drawing.
Yeah. So, I mean, why not? We don't have a huge pool of people. We're getting bigger on our newsletter. So you have a very good chance of potentially winning this really fantastic
I've owned
item.
my Liberator for about 10 years. One thing, it is, if the house is on fire, I would grab it and run out. I love that thing so much.
Yeah. They hold up to big bodies.
It hasn't aged a day. And it's been very well used.
Yeah, I know. Mine too. And washer dryer, it goes in there and it comes out perfect.
Yep.
I meant to mention that Marina, you really want to get on Marina's newsletter because that's how you find out about things that are getting ready to drop. If you really want one of those, you want to be on the newsletter because you can be first to the website. And I've done this before where I'm like, on it. I'm up at 2 a.m. Here, newsletter comes out. I read it. Bam.
We sell out very quickly.
So your newsletter is great.
Consistently.
I know. That's
keep
awesome.
Them hungry.
So happy for you. It's so exciting. Yeah. All right. So the last big announcement today is we are so excited. We are adding a person to our show. She is someone who has been a part of my Curvy Girl fashion shows. She's local here in San Jose. Her wit, her charm, her openness about sex and sex toys and all that stuff. She's amazing. And you might remember her in my fashion show one time. She dressed up as a bride and it was just glorious. And people tell me all the time, oh, remember that time you had the bride? She wore some lingerie and she had little, what do you call those things they carry down the aisle? I've never been married. Okay, thank you. Anyway, we're so excited to invite and welcome Sydney to our show. We're going to give Sydney like a 15-minute segment and she's going to talk about all kinds of things like birth control for larger bodies. She's going to talk about why there aren't more people of color in the polyamorous community and how to, she's brilliant and she's funny as hell. And I just adore her. And she's really she wanted to make kind of like I think she was going to make like a kimono so she's very interested in sewing and robes. And I think you know her too,
I'm trying to
don't
think
you?
who this is.
Yeah. I think she might be a client of yours, but anyway, yeah, she's just beautiful.
I
and
would
we're so
know
excited
her
to have
if I saw her face.
And
sure.
Yeah, you would. Yeah, for sure. She's so fantastic. So yeah, it's so exciting, huh, Murph?
Absolutely. And so some of you may know Sydney from our polyamory show.
That's right. Yeah.
So this course, I'm calling it kind of a correspondent, from our show. So she'll have her own little segment where she can talk about stuff. But I think it really opens up the idea of our podcast being a community, having Marina come on and talk and talk about her business and just sex life and all those kind of things. And my goal, and I know Crystal's goal, is to really incorporate the fat community in this podcast. And so it's the first big branch out to that. And I'm excited to see how that goes and continue to have awesome guests like Marina come back on and talk about stuff and share interesting things that happen in our
Thank
community.
you guys so much for having me. And thank you for doing this. This is so
My pleasure. Our
important.
pleasure. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
One thing with Sydney, we're either going to laugh our asses off or she's going to really make us think deeply about what the fuck. So either way, it's going to be amazing. So awesome. Thank you, Marina. Thanks to Ashley, who's in the background taking care of everything. I will see you later, alligator.
Well, after a while, crocodile.